Let's go.
What's up?
What's up, man?
Man, I rely on natural light for my Zoom videos, and it's just a straight black thunderstorm right now.
Yes,
Are you getting some over there, Mike?
I'm getting it. It rained all night down here. Started about, I think, 3 o'clock.
Yeah. It's been a weird year in Denver, that's for sure.
The weird one.
Not
Yeah.
raining at all in the springs. Crazy.
Look at Minneapolis. Hi, guys. Hey, that's great. I was a little worried about the 100-person cap. But since Minneapolis is all together, I think we're going to be just fine. All right, I'm going through here. What up, Nolan? You're driving, so all good.
What up, dude?
What's up, man?
I'll still say what's up.
Howdy, howdy. All right, we're going to get rocking and rolling. So thank you all for hopping on the call. You know, these aren't necessarily required unless you hear otherwise from your area manager. I think for a lot of new reps, they probably should be required. So just kind of expectations moving forward for the call. We're going to do these on Thursdays bi-weekly. They're going to be between 30 and 45 minutes long. So not super long. We think less is more a lot. So we don't want to just hammer you with a ton of information on these calls. We just want to highlight one or two things. And we want, it's really going to be my job getting the top reps and the most experienced reps on here to provide trainings for you guys on certain topics. So it's really not going to be a ton of me talking. It's going to be, I've heard from the field, we want more collaboration and we want to hear from the top reps that are doing the most and that have the most experience and success. So that's what I'm hoping to deliver for you guys. Moving forward today, if you can, we want you to be, if you're going to be on the call, be all the way on the call. Okay. Don't just be laying in bed with your AirPod in, halfway asleep, listening to it. Get up, get yourself some coffee, whatever, meditate, do a little walk, do a little jog, something, get up and stretch and be awake and present on the call. So, today's the first one. I'm not going to beat anyone up, but if you're driving, like pull over eventually. Don't be driving on the next calls. Have your video on, be taking notes, and let's all grow together. I want us to all grow together and for us to all be on and present. So first, before we jump in, we're going to have this call bi-weekly, and then Michael Sorgi has already been doing what he's calling summer school on Zoom. So I want to make sure you guys are all aware of it and you have access to it. Just check the group me's. He's really good about posting the links on there. I've heard nothing but phenomenal feedback from these calls. I need to jump on one soon. My childcare doesn't start that early, so it's really tough for me to get on there, but I will be on one soon for sure. I'll be a fly on the wall. I've heard great things. This is one of Michael's most strongest strengths here, I guess, is these summer school calls, and they're pretty short and sweet as well, from my understanding. So Michael, go ahead and just talk for a minute or two about that. Any more information I missed, and then we'll jump into the training.
Yeah, no more information. I know it's early. For me, the benefit of doing it early is just I'm starting my day locking in, thinking about solar, focusing on sales. And obviously to do this job successfully, it needs to have full effort. And so I know it's early, but you don't have to have your video on. That doesn't bother me. I'm going to give you 120% effort, even if your video's off. So for those who are on Pacific time or Mountain time, if you're making your cup of coffee, just tune in with the audio, put your headphones in, and hopefully I'll get you laser focused. So it's at 6 a.m. Pacific, 7 a.m. Mountain, 8 a.m. Central, 9 a.m. Eastern, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Fridays. So we're going to finish out for July. I might do it in August as well, probably will. Again, it's voluntary, and every single session I'm talking about sales skill set, sales mindset, and or best practices. So those are the three categories I try to touch on. So anybody's welcome, everybody's welcome. I feel like every time we have a couple more people, which is cool, tells me that you guys have, are saying good things about it, and telling other people to join. If you have topics that you want me to talk about, you can certainly text me those in group me. Just shoot me a message and say, hey, dude, can we talk about this? And that'll give me some more ideas. So.
Sweet. Yeah, I was just going to say that if you guys have specific things you want us to cover, don't hesitate. Just send us a quick message, any way, shape, or form, email, text, group me, whatever, and we'll make sure to add that to the list and we'll get it covered. So, all right, kicking us off. Many of you have not met him and have probably not spoken with him, but I'm going to have Mike Falls kick us off. I'm sure a lot of you have at least heard of him. So I'm going to go ahead and say I'm pretty sure this is accurate. Out of everyone at Blue Raven, I'm pretty damn sure that he has sold the most solar accounts in general. I don't know what his total count is. We'd love to know that, Mike, but he does have the highest residual by far in the company. And just a couple quick stories. So I worked with Mike at Solar City before Blue Raven. Solar City was a massive solar company owned by Tesla. My first week, so my first team meeting, they put the numbers up on the board for the previous week, and Mike did 7 final designs that week, that week that I was finishing up training. And just so you guys know, we didn't have company leads at all. It was 100% door-to-door self-gen. So that was when I saw that number, that was a main thing that really got me hooked on solar right away. It was just counting that income up on what he made in that 1 week. And then another quick story. I remember we were doing a year-end meeting at Blue Raven for kind of our first year at Blue Raven. And I was a rep, Mike was a rep, and one of the executives pulled up the numbers. We used to just look at total proposals made, and that's how we tracked effort. And they put up my name and they said, Matt, in my 10 years in direct sales, I've never seen anyone work as hard as you. So that's great. Good job. And then they put up Mike Falls numbers. And they said, but unfortunately, Mike Falls still outworked you by 20%. So that just shows you the work ethic this man has. I've got the highest respect for him. He outworks everybody. There's no super secret to his strategy. You'll hear that from him. But without further ado, take it away, Mike. Tell us what you're going to cover real quick, and then just go for it.
Matt, I'd forgotten about those 2 stories, man. That's 8 years ago.
It's been a long time. Yes, sir.
Yeah, so I'm going to talk just about knocking doors. Like Matt said, when I started in solar, it was a door knocking job. I mean, you could generate your business however you wanted to, but the guys who joined, the Chamber of Commerce and tried to network or all those kind of things, they didn't last. So most of us that were successful, well, all of us that were successful, knocked doors. So I want to just talk a little bit, and I'll say one thing: I'm not good at knocking doors. I just do it. There's probably guys on your team that have great pitches, great things to say, helping you find how to find a good neighbor and all that stuff. And that's all helpful. But what I want to talk about is more kind of my mindset and my objectives when I'm knocking doors. But the first thing I'll do is tell you why I like knocking doors. Some people seem to hate it. I don't get that. Door knocking is, to me, by far the least stressful part of this job. It's just free and easy. I'm just floating through a neighborhood. I'm just knocking on the guy's door. You know, if he's naked and I don't want to talk to him, I just walk away. You know, when you go to a proposal meeting, you're kind of hoping that they do something. If you go to a final design meeting, you really get bummed when they decide not to go forward. But there is none of that in door knocking. It is absolutely just me looking for people that I want to work with. I just find that to be the least stressful part of my job. And in fact, sometimes when the other parts are stressful, I go out and knock doors just to kind of get my mind off the other stuff. The other thing I like about door knocking is I think it's just absolutely wild. I think it's like getting on a roller coaster every day. I mean, where else could I just meet a stranger and 4 or 5 days later, he's making a $40,000 purchase? That just blows my mind. It's so I just look at the upside of it. Yeah, there's a lot of things that could go wrong. I could tell you stories that would make your teeth fall out, but yeah, I just think it's a wild thing. I also like the fact that I'm in control. I don't wake up and go, oh, wait a minute, someone set an appointment for me today at, you know, an hour drive away. You know, here I'm setting my own schedule. I'm picking my own customers. I don't get to do that when I take leads. I show up to a guy that I don't connect with. I'm just not the kind of person I would probably do business with. But when I'm knocking doors, I'm picking my favorites. The other thing I think it's good now, and especially this is true in the Denver market. When I started 8 years ago, you could literally knock a door and say, hello, solar. And they'd say, yeah, let's get started. It was it was virgin territory. Now it's saturated. People are knocking, you know, they tell me all the time, 30 companies have knocked here in the last month. But I still think that the advantage of knocking doors is most of the people I knock doors with, if they listen to my pitch, if they like it, they move forward. You don't show up and hear them say, well, I'm getting 72 bids. I'm gonna, you know, take 140 months to do this, and you're number 93. And that happens a lot in the leads process for us. So I just like kind of finding new people like that. And you also get to establish rapport before you go to a proposal meeting. I think that's huge. You know, I'm not just showing up to meet some stranger and hope that quickly we can talk about solar and he signs up. So getting to have that, you know, that pre-meeting on the doors, I think it's one of the elements of success, really. The other thing I like about knocking doors is, just by definition, it is narrowing down for you. It's identifying the people who probably are good candidates for solar. The guy that's online and just, you know, scouting around and says, oh yeah, I'll have someone come over, but he's probably not a good candidate. So I'll talk a little bit what I'm looking for as good candidates, but you know, the guy that's grumpy, the guy that's in too big a hurry, the guy that's not a decision maker, all that gets identified on the door. So I don't waste my time getting proposals and showing up to meetings with people that are probably not going to go forward. And then for me personally, this won't be true of some of you, but another reason I like knocking doors is consistency, not skill, is what it takes to knocking doors. Like I said, I'm not very good at this, but if you keep doing it, the guy that's consistent will way outstrip the guy that's good at it. So anyway, those are some reasons I like knocking doors. You know, I like to get out and knock doors for those reasons. Okay, so mindset. When I got hired, I came home and told my wife, hey, I'm going to work in the solar business. She said, oh, really? What are you going to do? I'm going to knock doors. And she almost fell over. So then my follow-up comment was, I said, honey, I'm going to knock doors every day for the rest of my life. Now that's real different than most people that have come in since then. I've trained a lot of these guys and they go, look, I just got to get a few self-gen things and then I'm on lead, so I won't be knocking any more doors. That was never my mindset. Now I have taken leads. I've actually not been knocking doors for the last couple of years. My wife had COVID. She almost died. She's in the hospital 6 times. She's on a feeding tube. She can't walk. So it was nice to be in the hospital room and actually have someone set an appointment for me that I could actually go close a few, you know, to make quote every month. But my mindset is I'm knocking doors. I'm not trying to get away from it. I'm not trying to avoid it. I'm not getting onto something else. I think it's sort of the secret of our business. And I will say this, generating your own business to me is just as important as being able to close business. I was a financial advisor for Merrill Lynch. 100% of the guys who couldn't make it there is because they couldn't generate their own business. So however you do it in solar, find a way, but if you can do it knocking doors, it's just going to translate to a lot of success in life. So anyway, that's my mindset. Now, the corollary to that is, and Matt knows I've said this a lot, I treat it like a job. Very few guys treat solar like a job. You know, they go close someone and then they go, whew, I got a sale. I'm not working tomorrow. I mean, there's no other place in the world where you can't be a bank teller taking a big deposit and tell the boss, hey, I'm not working the next few days. I mean, the job says you show up, you do your time, then you go home. I just don't see many guys doing that, but that's the way I treat knocking doors. No matter how many appointments I've set or what's on my schedule, knocking doors is every day. It's part of life. It's a commitment. So part of what helps me think that way, though, sort of the carrot in front of me is my mindset when I open the door of my car and look down the street and I see all the houses there. I think, under one of these doormats, there's $1,000 bill. My job is to find it. So you knock on the first door and the guy screams at you, go, no $1,000 bill under this door. I could care less that the guy's in the mood or he wants to call the cops or he thinks solar's a scam. I'm looking for the $1,000 bill. That's my job. Okay. The way I go about it is my mindset is I set a time goal. I don't set any goals for like how many appointments I'm going to set. Like I'm going to knock till I set 3 appointments. You might set up 3 appointments in 20 minutes. I don't do that. I always set a time goal. I'm knocking for 4 hours. I'm knocking for 3 hours. If I get nothing, mission accomplished. I set my goal and I accomplished it. If I get 5 appointments, great. But I just do that consistently. Just set a time goal, hit the doors, don't worry about the results, and just keep moving on. I've been knocking doors for 8 years. I don't think I'm any better at today than I was. Well, maybe the first week I warmed up for a while, but 8 years ago, I was pretty much the same as I am now. I don't think I've really gotten any better. And that's because, it's life. I'm dropping into a neighborhood. I'm just hitting someone's doorstep. If they just got fired from their job, if their kids screaming in the background, you can't control all that. So I expect there to be good days and bad days. So like a few weeks ago, a guy went out and knocked with me and we got skunked. We knocked for a few hours, didn't get anything. He said, well, that was a waste. I go, it wasn't a waste. You just keep moving. The next day may be different. So that's my mindset, is just expect it to be up and down. I'm not trying to control it. I'm not trying to get better and better. I mean, it'd be nice, but I just haven't accomplished that. Okay, the other thing I do on the doors, I'm looking for laydowns. Solar's hard enough to drag people across the finish line. I don't want to start on the doors with a guy I'm dragging out of his door. So I don't sell on the doors. I don't answer objections on the doors. I just give them information, tell them I'm there for. If they say, oh, Mel, what about this? And I got to talk about this. And that's not the person I'm looking for. What I see in solar is I kind of increase my intensity as the process goes forward. On the doors, if they're not interested, if they have any objections, great. Hey, no problem. Go to the next door. When I go to the proposal appointment, yeah, then I'm trying to help them move forward. When I go to the final design meeting, only one of us is coming out alive. But I ramp that up as we go forward. I'm not looking for that on the doors. I don't waste time. And the other thing I find is the guys who do that, they argue with people and get them to finally set an appointment. They go home drained. I don't go home drained at all. After I knock doors, I go home. I'm ready to do something because to me, it's sort of a refreshing experience just to float around and have fun conversations. So looking for laydowns is one of my things in my mindset. And then again, the other thing is knowing that everything has to align. The stars got to line up. What they had for breakfast, what the boss said to them, all that comes into their minds when they're at the door. So if it doesn't work, I don't force it. I don't do go backs. The guy says, oh yeah, can you come back tomorrow? Tomorrow I'll be less stressed. No. If the stars align, great, let's talk. If they don't, I don't want to bother you. And I don't want to have to go through a whole neighborhood where I talk to hundreds of people and go find your house again to come knock on your door. So I just don't do go back. Some people do, whatever you prefer on that. But it helps me have a healthy mindset to realize I'm just cruising through here looking for the guys that basically show up ready to go and try to work with those folks. Okay, my objective on the door. These are my objectives. Number one, my personal opinion of solar is people don't go solar because they want to save money. They don't go solar because they want to save the environment or they hate the utility company. I think people go solar because they make decisions, plain and simple. So first thing I'm looking for on the door is a decision maker. It's hard to figure that out, but after 8 years, I kind of have a sense. Is this guy a decision maker? Now, sometimes I get fooled. I had a lady once that she was on it. Is there any upfront cost? No. My utility company's got a program, net metering, great. Okay, sign me up. How do I get started? I go back for the proposal meeting. She can hardly let me in the door. She's so indecisive. So after we talked a few minutes, I said, hey, I want to tell you, you're a different person. When you were the day, you were like ready to go. Let's decide. Here's my few questions. I'm on it. She goes, oh, I was late for a Garth Brooks concert. I just wanted to get going and get out of here. I said, oh, okay. But in general, if you can find someone's a decision maker, that's the person who's going to get sold. They'll give you yes or no. I hate the people that just listen to you and nothing ever happens. So pilots are decision makers. My dad was a pilot. Cops, firemen, they can't show up at the fire and say, give me 6 weeks. Let me think about this. And so you just begin to find people that are decisive. The other thing I look for is people that are available. When he's stressed about the 2 minutes he's on the door, when you talk about setting an appointment, he goes, well, I don't know, I'm really busy. I go, me too. Let's call it off. Let's do it some other time. I don't want to start something that looks to be difficult. So availability is the other thing I look for. It's less important than decision making, but that'd be probably my second one. And my third one is someone I like. Most people that answer the door because of the whole answering the door for a stranger, they're not in a good mood. They kind of they may be great people, don't come off that way. That's good enough for me. I don't need to work with them. So I pretty much just, hey, really, we're just following up with people, but I'll come back another time and I just never go back. So those are the three guys I'm looking for: decision makers, availability, and people I like. I really don't care if they're interested in solar. That's not on my list. Nor do I care if they have the perfect roof for solar. Heck, I knocked to the guy once. He would skip over house after house finding the perfect due south unshaded roof. And I said, dude, houses don't make decisions about solar. People do. I've got lots of people with cruddy roofs, but they wanted solar. So I don't care. I've got a lot of people that told me, I'm not interested in solar, don't want to do this. But they were decisive, they were available, I liked them, and they've got solar on their roofs now. Another objective for me is to have fun. If it's not fun, don't do it. Figure out how to have fun. I've had more fun in the doors. I've had some amazing experiences. Another objective for me is I try to bless someone. Someone in there is having a bad day. They answer the door, but they're ready to just barf that day. So I've picked up trash from people. I've held babies at the door because the phone rang. They were stressed. Someone boiling over and said, here, take my baby. Literally, I've been there for 30 seconds. And I'm holding, a newborn. But something to bless someone, and sometimes you're telling a guy, hey, don't stress about this. Don't get angry. You're having a bad day. I hope the rest of the day is better for you. Just move on. Just try to better someone's day. It's kind of a fun thing to do. And then lastly, my objective is set one good appointment. That's all I'm looking for. I can knock an hour. I can knock 5 hours in one day. If I get one good appointment, that's all I'm looking for. If I get 6, that's better, but one good appointment is all I'm looking for. Okay, that's pretty much it. I did think a little bit about what you say about the pitch, but my pitch probably isn't that great. And I've gone from doing a net metering pitch to doing a smart metering pitch, because that's what we have now in Denver. Now I'm working on some other pitches. I'm actually out right now just trying different pitches. I'll give a pitch for 10 doors and switch and do another one, just see how it goes. The other day I showed up and it was after I knocked a few doors, everyone said, hey, dude, get away. Solar it's a barrage. People are knocking every day. I'm sick of solar. Then I knocked a few doors and I knocked and I said, hey, I'm Mike with Blue Raven Solar. Usually I don't use the word solar in my first sentence, but I just brought that out. I said, hey, I'm Mike with Blue Raven Solar. And then I stopped and looked at him. Kind of an uncomfortable, like 5-second pause. And I said, is that okay? I said, what do you mean? Your name's Mike? I said, no, that I'm with solar. I mean, is that like a bad word? Oh, no. I said, well, have you been like creamed by all these solar companies scamming you, coming through, being pushing? No, I'm okay with that. And we had a good conversation. I mean, I don't know. Whatever you say, again, your manager probably has better things than I have to say. But I do think there's two important things on what you say. First is you've got to say something at the beginning to get their attention and break their preoccupation. They're just watching the show. They're thinking about what's going on or what they're working on it. I think you have to have something to introduce yourself, to introduce the topic, state what the problem is, why you're there, in a way that you get their attention. If you don't, then the rest of the conversation is worthless. And the second thing I want to do on a door pitch is I want to call them to action. You don't call them to action. It's going to be tough to call them to action when you try to get them to sign documents and approve final designs and all that. And again, that helps me find decision makers. A lot of guys in the years that I've been doing this, they've quit getting usage on the doors. I always get usage on the door. Dude, I want you to do something. I want you to have skin in the game. I want you to say, yes, I'll go get my phone and pull up my usage, or let's call utility and get it. So somewhere in the pitch, usually it's the end, of course, call them to action. I think if you do that, you're probably set yourself up for better appointments. But that's pretty much what I think about for the pitch. Excuse me. I'm just finding something that'll get their attention, introduce that information, and call them to action. I don't typically follow a script, but I do know what I want to talk about. But each individual conversation, I just kind of flow with it. A couple things people have asked me about, I'll just make a comment on, is building rapport. I don't do that. Hey, you're a Bronco fan. Me too. What do you think about, Peyton Manning? I don't do that. Reason is I used to do that. I'd spend 10 minutes chit-chatting, getting to know what school his kids went to, that mine went to. And then he says, what's this about? And here's the word solar. And go, oh, dude, I'm not interested in solar. Go away. So I think building rapport is great. I want to do it. But what I do is I go through the pitch. And if they're interested, we get the usage, we set an appointment. Then I hang out for 15 minutes and build rapport. So I build my rapport on the back end. I don't go in and be friendly. I think I'm friendly enough that, we have good conversations, but I don't take time to build rapport. Okay, Matt, that's about all I wanted to go over. I don't know if that's helpful, but that's kind of my style. That's what I do in mock doors.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much. Yeah, there's a ton there. I think Blue Raven is really good at creating leads in a lot of markets. So a lot of your markets, you have so many leads, which is great, but it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when that the leads will dry up, or you'll have a bad month and you'll be at the lower end of the allocation. And you've got to make money still, right? Your bills don't stop just because you're not selling. So that has been the key to the success here in Denver, and why this has been the strongest market in Blue Raven, is because we already knew how to self-gen before Blue Raven got leads here. So we get a lot less leads than anywhere else than Denver does, yet we still sell the most. So just so you guys know, self-gen deals, they pull through. Everyone's been doing a million pull-through trainings over the last year. Self-gen deals pull through about double the rate. So 2x what your lead bookings pull through at. So I love it. Thanks again, Mike. That was great. Just a few more takeaways and I'll kick it over to Sorgi. He just goes out and does it. There's literally no secret sauce. He just goes out and does it, and he's consistent. That is the total name of the game. He has total control of who he works with. That's what I've always loved about it. The more you self-gen, the more you knock, the more you'll be able to identify who you want to work with, and also identify who you don't want to work with. And then we're looking for decision makers. We're looking for laydowns. That's the beauty of door to door. You all live in markets with unlimited homes. You can go out and knock you could spend the rest of your life trying to talk to every homeowner in your market, and that would be a tall order. So that's why Mike's approach is what it is. That's the beauty of door to door. You have 100 other people within, a 10-minute walk in any direction that you can go talk to in the next couple hours. So do not beat yourself up. Look for the laydowns. There's less competition. That is awesome. Typically you're just competing against the utility company. Then that's an easy thing to do. And then the time goal, that has always been my approach as well. If I'm going out knocking, I say, okay, I've got 3 hours. No matter what happens, I'm going out for 3 hours, no matter what. Okay. So those are my main takeaways. Thanks again, Mike. And then we'll do another 10 to 15 minutes. Let's hear from Sorgi, and that will be it for today. I got to make you a host.
I'm already, oh, never mind. I thought you made me the host before. My bad.
Okay, here we go. Okay, it's all you.
Mike, that was so stinking good. I feel like, I took a bunch of notes, and kind of some of the things you were saying tie in perfectly to what I want to share. So before I jump in, everybody do me a favor, just stay mentally locked in. I know for me, it's hard to hear multiple speakers on a Zoom call sometimes. So I'm about to take us all to church. It's 10 a.m. Central. We're going to go to church. Everybody focus. Don't text. All right. So let me share my screen. I call this session one step at a time. I think most of us on this call, I'm going to talk fast, guys. Most of us on this call have been doing sales with Blue Raven for probably less than a year. I know the Minneapolis team, which has 40 something people in the office right now, most of you guys are less than a year. I think Zach Miller finally hit a year, which is awesome. And I'm guessing Shu and Valerie, some of those other ones are coming up on a year. I know Kansas City team, everybody but Tiffany has been doing it for less than a year. So that's 60 people right there that I know are brand new. This job throws so much at you, and it can feel like you're in a tailspin, especially for the first few months. So today's session is going to be about the perspective you need to have about yourself and about life in order to find success. Okay. I'm going to start with a little bit of my journey. So here's my progression. I have no sales background at all. I went to Bible school from ages 17 to 20, made less than $20,000, probably less than $15,000. I worked weekend jobs, movers, auctions, things like that. Took extra classes to graduate early. Probably total net worth, $5,000. Probably money I saved up from high school and carried into Bible school. Then I was a missionary, ages 21 to 27, Kenya, Turkey, Jordan, lived in Jordan for 4 years. I think I made $28,000 max as a missionary. Learned how to and how not to lead people during that time. I had to lead my peers. And imagine being in your young 20s, and then everybody else is your young 20s, and you're like, hey guys, here's what we're going to go do. And they're all like, why the hell should we listen to you, bro? Like, you've never been to this country either. And so it was a trial by fire, learning how to lead people and how not to lead people. At that time, I bought my first stock, age 23. I was like, I want to think about the future. I don't want to be a broke missionary the rest of my life. What do? I had $800, bought it all in Disney stock, got lucky it doubled that year. And I was like, sweet, now I got $1,600. That was great. Got my first credit card at age 25. Had no debt at that point. When I was done being a missionary, I went and worked for a nonprofit for about a year in Colorado Springs, made $38,000. So, big stepper at this point, just absolutely freaking crushing it financially, 38 grand a year. That's where I learned data analysis, data visualization. Some of the reason why I'm numbers focused are from the things I learned at that job. That was a tough transition back to the United States for me. I bought a car on Craigslist that was a lemon, got scammed, lost $4,000. I only had $8,000 total. So like right there, half of my net worth, boom, just cut because I bought a piece of crap car off Craigslist. Got my first apartment without roommates. That felt good. I'm like, cool. I'm no longer like, I can afford a decent apartment's rent. Still always carried a credit card balance month to month, probably about $2,000 or less. Then I was a church accountant. That's where I learned how to be an Excel wizard. So some of you guys who are familiar with my Excel spreadsheets, that's where I learned that stuff. Got a $500 salary increase, $38,500. Still big step in. Went into more debt. Moving is expensive. So I had to use my credit card to move to a different state. I think I packed everything I owned into my Honda Civic. And then I quit that job. What I learned there was how to work with people you don't naturally get along with. I had a boss who really didn't like me. Long story short, I ended up moving on. Ooh, my bad. I ended up moving on, but I learned in that job how to work with people I don't naturally get along with. That's a valuable skill. I decided to reset my life, and at age 28, moved back to Kansas City, got a job at Trader Joe's. I literally I moved on a Friday, started work on Monday. $13 and something cents an hour. Working the 6 a.m. shift. So it means I had to get there at like 4:30 or 4 a.m. to unload the trucks, get everything set, unloading pallets, all that stuff. That's where I learned how to deal with entitled customers. I worked in an area of town with a lot of old money. People who would walk in with their shopping list and say, hey, can you help me find this? And you're like, oh, I guess whatever I was doing before this doesn't matter. Sure. And so you learn how to deal with entitled customers. And you learn to emotionally detach from work tasks that aren't quote unquote fun. That's something that Mike just said. He's like, I'm not good at knocking doors. It's not like I'm not emotionally attached to it. I just do it. I learned that skill at Trader Joe's. Got my real estate license during that time. Picked up a part-time job as an assistant for this self-made entrepreneur guy worth a few $1 million, had some businesses, and I was like, cool. So I was hustling, trying to take the next step. At age 29, that guy I was working for offered me a full-time job, offered me $50,000 a year in salary. I felt like I had made it at that point. I literally cried in the shower when he made that offer. I was like, man, I no longer am struggling. I'm making $50,000 a year. All my bills can be paid. My rent can be paid. I don't have to eat crappy groceries. I felt great. At that job, I had a wide variety of tasks. So I learned lead warm up and lead nurture. He was in franchise sales. So I'd have to warm the leads up. I'd have to, hold them by the hand after he made the sale. So I learned how to build sales funnels, some of the sales psychology, how to market products. I learned the value of networking, Facebook advertising, Instagram advertising, copywriting, video editing, podcast recording, etc. A lot of stuff. Negotiated my pay raise to $60,000 a year after I started, felt extra rich at that point. One of the losses I took during that point, my dad and I bought 3 franchise territories. We were going to open up some franchises, and then COVID hit. And we couldn't open our franchises within the amount of time that we signed our contract for. So we just took a huge financial loss, never opened those franchises. I learned to just accept loss and move on. That was a big financial loss. Then I decided to try my hand at entrepreneurship. I was like, you know what? I think I want to do my own thing. I started a clothing company. That year, I think I made in total about $40,000, not just from that. I had some other stuff I was doing as well. But it was a backward step financially, but I learned how to be a business owner, learned organizational skills, learned how to build websites, learned a bunch of other stuff. I really learned that sales increase to the measure that you can captivate the feelings of your audience. If you can help people feel something powerful, they're going to feel connected to whatever product you're selling. Clothes, solar, food, you name it. Emotions are powerful. I also learned I can't do everything on my own. During that time, I had a health scare. I don't have time to tell that story. I had a health scare, and it really changed my self-perception. That was the most physically painful thing I've ever gone through. And once you go through something that stretches your pain limits, you begin to view yourself a little bit differently, begin to walk with a different confidence and swagger and fearlessness. Some of you guys have had loved ones almost die, kids almost die, Mike's wife almost die. I'm sure that stretched his pain tolerance for life, and he carries a different swagger about him now. Changes a lot about how you think about yourself. I was a backwards move financially, but if I didn't do that, I wouldn't be here. It's when I found Blue Raven. My first year with Blue Raven made $157,000. Big pay raise. Completely got out of credit card debt, except for my monthly car payment. It's a low interest rate. We got more than a year's worth of living expenses saved up. If I were to lose my job tomorrow and didn't have a job for a year, I would be okay. I learned to fall in love with work. I learned it's a blessing to be able to work. My time being unable to work because of my health scare made me realize how blessed it is to have a job and to work. I learned that nobody's coming to save me. No one's going to hand me perfect leads, hand me laydowns. Nobody's going to give me extra commission. No one's going to pay my rent, fix my car, fill my pantry, secure my future. Nothing. It's all on me. I also learned that God will always provide the leads that I need to make the income required to live life, but I have to be diligent to go and work those leads. So, why am I sharing this? Here's the lessons that I have learned from my journey in the last, almost 18 years. Lesson 1, consistency overcomes unpredictability. Mike Falls just said this like 5 different ways. You have to be okay with the unpredictability of your journey. You guys are 1 year in to probably rebuilding your life. Some of you guys, you still have a crappy car that's about to break down. You're 3 months into rebuilding your life. There's going to be some flat tires and oil leaks. It's something you simply have to accept and learn to even enjoy. Be okay. Have fun with the unpredictability of it. We can't always see 5 steps ahead, and that's okay. All we need to see is the next stone on the path right in front of us. And then we need to have confidence to step forward. 1 day at a time, 1 step at a time, 1 breath at a time, 1 door at a time, 1 appointment at a time, 1 morning at a time, 1 phone call at a time, 1 Zoom call at a time, 1 team meeting at a time. You just so happened to pick outside sales, guys. It could have been anything else. But you got lucky. And now we're part of the same family. You get to run with me. You should consider yourself blessed, because I consider myself blessed to get to run with you guys. Like, I'm so lucky that I get to be with Kerrigan, and Nolan, who is my boss, and Brent and Nate, and people I've known for a long time. You pick this job maybe because you're a glutton for punishment and you love getting no-showed, and you love when customers lie to you and say, oh, I texted to cancel that, and you love driving every day in traffic. I don't know, maybe you love that stuff. Probably not, but you did pick this job, and it just so happens to have this wonderful element of unpredictability about it. The thing that must never be unpredictable, though, are the steps and actions you take every day. You have to work the same hours every week. I'm going to pause there. If you're trying to find traction working 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 8 o'clock on Monday, and then 1 p.m., 5 p.m. on Tuesday, and then 8 a.m. and 10 a.m. on Wednesday, you're not going to find traction. You got to work the same hours, guys. You have to use the same strategies and tactics and tools in your tool belt for every single pitch. You guys are learning how to handle objections. When that objection comes up, boom, pull out that arrow, shoot that arrow. And then when that one doesn't work, shoot the next one. Do it every single pitch. Gary Braver talks all the time about how he says the same pitch, the same jokes, the same way, the same tonality every single time. His consistency cuts through the unpredictability of who he's speaking with, at what time of day he's speaking with them, at what point in life he's talking with them. You have to keep the same focus every single morning. That's why I love summer school. You have to eat and sleep and exercise at the same times. To conquer violent waves, you must disturb them with consistent rows. You're in this little boat. You got your paddles in your hand. You got to row. If you want to have a chance to overcome the wave and not have it overcome you, you have to keep rowing consistent pace, nonstop. Your arms are going to be on fire. You're going to want to give up, and you just have to be consistent every day. The second you stop is the second the wave crashes on you. You cannot have the ups and downs and the family emergencies and the missing the morning alarm and the hangovers and the chaotic home life and expect to overcome the unpredictability of the job. Some of you guys, that's really practical for you in this season. That's lesson 1. Consistency overcomes unpredictability. Lesson 2, and Matt, I know you have to leave. I'm sorry. You can leave if you need to. Lesson 2, people do what they do because of what they believe about themselves. You do what you do every day because of what you believe about yourself. Whether you've realized that or not, that's true. There's the reason, like I think I talked about this in a Zoom call the other day, Tiger Woods has always trained like a champion from age, 10 years old to today, because he believes that he's a champion. If you train like a runner-up, if you believe like you're a runner-up. For me, there's never been a doubt that I wouldn't be successful because I believe that I'm called to have a great impact in life. So whether I worked at Trader Joe's making $13 an hour or working auctions on the weekend in Bible school or whatever I was doing, $50,000, it didn't matter. I've always believed that I'm supposed to have great impact in life. I'm called to great things, and therefore my efforts have always been consistent with good jobs, bad jobs, through seasons of abundance, lack, feelings of loneliness, feelings of integration, belonging. I've always worked as hard as I could with consistent effort because I know who I am. Some of you guys in the call don't have a problem with talent or skill or knowledge. You have a problem with self-belief. Some of you guys are still keeping yourself chained to the version of yourself from 5 years ago. You identify with the past version of yourself, and it's time to do the software update in your brain and actually start believing that you're called for greatness, and start believing that you are the version of yourself 5 and 10 and 20 years from now, not the version of yourself from 5 years ago. It's time to finally answer these 2 questions for yourself. Who are you called to be? And therefore, how should you be living today? My dream for this region, not just Kansas City and Minneapolis, is that everybody here on the call is fulfilling their destiny in life, whatever that means for you. Have an abundant life, be wealthy, have whatever opportunity you want at your fingertips. If you want to travel, you can travel. If you want to stay home, you can stay home. Have happy relationships, family, loved ones. Have kids if you want to. Have great health. Have a smile on your face. Maybe it's a fake smile. It's veneers because you're making a ton of money and you want new teeth. I don't care what kind of smile it is. I just want you to have one. The only way we're going to get there, though, is through consistency in our daily efforts. Every single day, one step at a time. And the only way you'll want to even put forth that effort is if you believe that you're destined for greatness. You're going to be challenged, so you need to be a champion. Mike Falls, who's making more money than all of us on this call, still out there knocking doors. He's doing that because of what he believes about himself. He believes he's successful. Therefore, he's not emotional about being out there and sweating and knocking a door because his identity is not tied to the task of door knocking. Therefore, he is willing to do whatever it takes to achieve his goals. So this is what I want for us today. 1, I want some of you guys to take inventory of your lives and your schedule and some of the variables, those elements of unpredictability in your personal life. And I want you to figure out how to overcome them with consistency. Because the job is going to give you enough unpredictability on its own that if your private life has the same unpredictability, you're screwed. You're shooting yourself in the foot. You're never going to gain traction. You're going to work for a year, get 20 FDCs and be like, holy smokes, I just worked for a year. My residual is only $2,000 a month. And 2, I want you to do some reflection. Like take the morning with your cup of coffee, sit there and think about yourself, think about life, find who you're called to be in life, and then figure out what should you be doing right now. because you're only going to have the consistent effort because you believe you're successful. Actions stem from self-belief. All right, that's what I have for us today, guys. Kerrigan, I don't know if you're still on the phone on the call. I'm guessing not. Oh, he still is. So, do you want me to put a bow on it, Kerrigan? You got it?
Go for it.
All right, cool. Well, hey, we got nothing else for today. I think the next call will not be this next week, but the one after that. And so Matt will send a Zoom call that morning. Tomorrow morning, I'll have summer school. I'll share the link into the managers as well as the Apollo region chat. Everybody's welcome. You don't have to have your video on for that if you don't want it. So love you guys. Take it easy. Have a great day. Thanks, Nolan. Thanks, Kyle.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, peace. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. That was great.